All right, so we've made major progress here. We are now successfully handling unsuccessful signups. So we still can't register a user, but if someone tries to sign up with invalid information, not only does it not cause any sort of errors in terms of the application, but we actually do have these useful error messages, and we even highlight the fields where the errors occur. Of course, one big disadvantage of what we've done so far is that if we want to check to see that it's still working, what we have to do is come to the page and start submitting things and make sure that we still get the right error messages and so on. So this is incredibly inconvenient, but this is why we have integration tests. So before moving on to successful signup, what we're going to do is write a short integration test capturing the behavior that we've now implemented successfully so that we can catch any regressions in the future. Let's get started here. Actually, just going to just exit. So let's start by generating an integration test. In this case, let's say it's a sign up for users. So users sign up. Remember, this will be converted to user sign up test. Rails will append _test. We haven't specified that this is unsuccessful signup because we'll use this same file for successful signup later in this lesson. So I'm going to open up the console again. Remember, Rails C is a shorthand for console. And let's take a look at the user count. So this is the count of the users in the database, and right now it's 0 because we ran the rake db migrate reset. So the way the test is going to work is we're going to hit this page, this sign up page, with a request, with an invalid request, or a request with invalid information, and we're going to verify that the count of the users does not change. So the user.count is the same before and after. So let me show you how to do that. Close these down. Open up our test. It's in test, integration, user sign up test, and oh, I should fire up guard, shouldn't I? All right, so this is our integration test, and I'm going to start by getting the sign up path. So remember, because of this get sign up, we have a named route, so we can do get sign up path. This is not strictly necessary, so what we're doing is we're simulating coming into this page, this /signup, and then submitting information. Now, it's not actually necessary to get the sign up path in order to do this, because inside of the test, we're going to be issuing a post request directly to the /users URL, just the way this button does. But it's nice to have this here, this get sign up path, because it'll catch any really bad mistakes. Like if we forget an @user variable, then this get will fail and our test will fail, which is exactly what we want if the application is buggy. So we can actually even just save that and run our test to get started. Oh, and in fact, it did give me an error. What happened there? Sign up path is not defined. That's weird. Oh, I'm just being stupid. This needs to be inside of a test. So we need to do test and then actually define a test. This is test invalid sign up information. And then do end. So let's get to green here. There are actually no assertions here, but any exceptions raised by this will cause an error. By the way, I mentioned how much it annoys me to see things like 1 errors. Well, look at this. That's the way it goes. Okay, so now what we want to do is something like this. We want to have a count before we submit to the signup path. So we can do this, user.count. And then we want to post to the user's path with some information. And it's going to be a hash. In fact, let's put that hash in. It's going to be a user hash, so key user, and then the value is another hash, which is the information we want to submit. So let's just do this. Name is going to be empty, email. We just want invalid information here. Just having one of them invalid is enough, but I'm going to make them all invalid just to emphasize what we're doing. Actually, I want to do this. Let's line these up. So this essentially simulates inside the test the submission here. If we do submission here, you can see that this is effectively a hash down here. So what we're doing is we're submitting a hash that's got an empty name, invalid email, and then password and confirmation that don't match and are too short. Like I said, though, it doesn't really matter as long as this is invalid. That's all we're going to test. So there are a bunch of things we could test. We could test the write error messages, but we're just going to test a couple of very simple things. We're going to make sure that it renders the new template, which is from this. We're going to make sure that it re-renders the new template. So we're going to do this here. You recall the way we do that is with assert template. So users/new. And if you're curious where else we use that, if you say, well, I saw that before, but I don't remember where, you can actually search through the entire project like this. You can find. You can see that we also use it in the site layout test right here. So that's where we saw this before. Save that. This will actually work. This should be green. We've got one assertions. And then we've got the before count. Let's do the after count here. So what should happen if we submit invalid information? Well, the before count and the after count should be the same. So we can do this. Oops, before count. Looks like the tab trigger was overriding the tab completion is what happened there. So can assert these. Have we used this before? We can find out. I don't recall offhand, but no, this is the first time we've used assert equal. So assert equal just verifies the two things are equal. And you can see we're green. So this actually worked. This means that this submission did not change the number of users in the database. So this is a nice test. But this isn't quite idiomatically correct. There's a slightly more elegant way to do this using a different assertion called assert no difference. I'll show you how that works. No difference. And this takes as an argument the thing that we want not to differ, in this case user.count, and then it takes a block. And what we do is we just put the code in the block that we want to have not change user.count in this case. So get rid of this. Part of the reason this is nice is we actually eliminate both of these variables. So tab this in just to show the structure. And so what this does is the same thing that we did before. It asserts that user.count does not change when this code is executed. Being able to do things like this is a really powerful way of extending a language, and it's this block that allows you to do it. It's because of Ruby blocks that we have the flexibility to make this kind of method. So let's save this and verify that we're still green. And there we go. Now, you might also want to test things like the particular error messages, or just that there's an error messages div, say with the right ID. And writing a test for that kind of functionality, or extending this test here in order to cover some of the other things that happen on this page, is left as an exercise. But this test is quite good. It will catch any sort of major regressions. And so at this point, we're ready to move on to handling a successful submission that actually creates a new user.